Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stronger, Smarter Summit on Indigenous Education. Deputy Prime Minister, Ms Julia Gillard. I'm so grateful that you're here to open the summit. It really is wonderful to have a Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister with such a strong interest in what is actually happening in Australian schools. To you, my colleagues who are educators, I thank you for making the effort to be here, many of you in your holidays, to share in our interests, to start a new journey in which we set about getting this part right in our profession. A stronger, smarter future is crucial for all Aboriginal children, for all Torres Strait Islander children. A stronger, smarter future is crucial for all of Australia. This is something we can do. Let me now welcome to the stage Deputy Prime Minister Julia Gillard.
Today is not a day for shirking responsibilities and wondering who's at fault. If Indigenous kids in this nation aren't getting a fair go, then that's our fault. The fault of the adults in this nation whose job it is to make sure that they do get that fair go. It's the fault of the governments, the bureaucrats, the local communities, the schools, the teachers and the parents who let these kids down. And today is not a day to seek comfort in old negative mindsets. To help build this new approach and to build on the outcomes of this summit, I'm pleased to announce today that the Australian Government has committed $16.4 million to the Stronger, Smarter Learning Communities project. That the Indigenous Education Leadership Institute at the Queensland University of Technology will also be renamed the Stronger, Smarter Institute, reflecting the importance of the Stronger, Smarter philosophy in delivering transformational change for Indigenous education.
Good afternoon. It is indeed my great pleasure to be introducing to you a very dynamic team from the Hunter region of New South Wales.
I'm a Wiradjuri man from the Central West. These are our instruments. This is a circle here. You're all sitting at circular tables. In circles, you are safe. In circles, there are places of courage to let go. Maybe empty out, so that then maybe you could fill up again. In circles, you are honest. In circles, you need to be open. So we're going to share our work with you this afternoon, and we do that with respect and with humility as well.
About 12 months ago, I was the honour of being elected regional AECG president throughout the Hunter region, and what I've seen in that very short time is something that's opened my eyes to the reality of the issues that our community faces and the challenges that they face in dealing with our schools.
They were just coming to the attention of teachers and staff all the time. There was graffiti all over the place, massive fights in the yard. All the kids were in groups all the time. Racism around the place. So this is all the stories that I heard. Pretty scary stuff.
We were being our heads against the wall, thinking, how are we going to do this, how are we going to move? And he just looked us in the eye and said, it's been done. Don't make excuses. So we took a lot of heart from that. A couple of months later, Chris Sarah came to Bairnsdale, and we got the same message of Chris, only Chris delivers a little bit more bluntly. So that was really good for us too. So we came back and we were that energised and excited. We thought, okay, no turning back. And we knew we were on the right track, and we were away with it.
How you going, Darren? You good? You got some moves, eh? You could have like a little breakdance challenge right now.
Good morning and welcome back to day 2.
Reaching up, that's him.
But through the Stronger Smarter Institute, we are able to point to, across the country, in all types of settings, of where those disadvantages are being overcome. Knowing is not enough. We know that it's possible. We know that Indigenous students can achieve as well, if not better, than any other Australian. But knowing is not enough. We must apply.
One of the things that we've been looking at is whether the campaign that I and many others have been working on for the last few years, and that's to close the gap on Indigenous health inequality, can work for education.
It is the case that most Indigenous children are in schools where there are 10% or less of the population, but we need to have a leadership and understanding where we can round up those schools and look at 100% of the kid and expose those places where 95% of Indigenous failure. So we might have just 20 kids in a school of 800, but if we look at those 20 kids and find out that all of them are failing, well then there's a serious problem that must be addressed. And is that a statistic we can live with? And if we can live with that, then we do nothing more than collude with low expectations of our children. I think we can do better than that.
Each school that describes the fantastic program that they're working on, they still have the problem of what do we do when, for want of a better word, that bucket of money, that funding, suddenly is cut off. Well, we've shown our improvement. What do we do now?
Look, at best, it's a complexity that we've just got to observe as part of the way forward. I don't think this is what you're saying, but I wouldn't like people in the room to think that more money is the answer, because ultimately it's about good quality relationships with communities and with children in classrooms that provides the way forward. And sometimes you don't always need money for those kinds of things.
We are at the tipping point because that conversation is out there, and as we can hear from this morning with Chris, a lot of it is about debate.
You want to sign it underneath? Put something there?
What, just my signature?
Yeah, or put something. Yep. That's him. Beautiful. Let's go in. Huh? That's him.
I feel like Dr. McLennan.
And off.
Well, I mentioned practice.
Hey, mate, come up, good look. So you got skinny fingers, see?
There you go, man.
What's that?
Yesterday I was in a group, in a session, we talked about leadership. The three components that I always talk about are leadership at all levels, the quality of our teaching, and of course the critical engagement and the interface with community.
And I'd like to call up my teacher that I had as my teacher at school and my lecturer in my teaching training time, Helen Weston. I have to very much there, but she was my teacher to my been part of my praise and thank you.
That's why I feel like Toby, doesn't it? Yeah. Man from Gunga Din. Yeah, it's him. Alright, I got him. This is a happy family. Bruce, Mummy, Daddy, two little kids.
The 2009 Stronger Smarter Summit symbolises a tipping point beyond which we now demand high expectations for all Indigenous students. We demand leadership with high expectations schools and high expectations teacher-student relationships. The tide of low expectations of Indigenous students in our schools has changed.
Can I just say thank you very much for the work that's gone into the communique. I think it's a really strong statement. I'm very happy to accept it on behalf of the conference. I, until the end of October, chair a group called the Council of the Australian Federation, which is a council of all Australian premiers and First Ministers. As chair, I will distribute it to all of my colleagues in that regard and draw it to their attention. Through leadership programs, research partnerships with governments, with schools and universities, Chris and the Institute are raising the bar on expectation, lifting the lid, I suppose, on the insidious nature of low expectations and calling it for what it is, and changing, I think, the landscape of Indigenous education forever in this country. That's a big achievement, Chris, well done. And I've got a very pleasant duty of making a small presentation to you to thank you for your leadership and your inspiration. Well done.